Hey, what's up, everyone? So it's the 21st of November today, and it's the penultimate week of April. It's also Thanksgiving week. So it's, I say it's a short week. It's actually broken in an interrupted week. We've got 3 days before Thanksgiving on Thursday, and then we've got a half day on Friday for Black Friday, and then we're back at it for Cyber Monday next Monday, and we've got 3 days next week as well. So after today, we've got, I suppose, 5.5 trading days left is probably the best way of describing it. We've had another good green day today, and well, any green day is a good day, but on Friday we had a phenomenal day. It got us right back in the mix across the board, and got all my averages right up there. Well, my K ratio, which risk to reward, it still needs a bit of work in November, but it got all my averages both monthly and annually back into the mix. Now today we've 1.5 times goal. I was reading live this morning, and before I started streaming live, I took a position with Grinder. I was just more of a small position. It was more of a swing trade than a day trade, but it was an intraday swing trade. So I knew where my stop was. What I was risking. It was a calculated risk, and it didn't go against me. So it hit my stop, and I got stopped out. So that was already down $4,000. Realistically, I was already trading by the time I hit the stop loss, but it took $4,000 off the balance there anyway. I took a trade with the ticker ELP. It's a Spanish company in terms of the title. I'm not going to try and pronounce the company because my Spanish isn't best anymore. I need to brush up on my Spanish. And we lost money on that as well, a little over $1,000. So Grinder, we lost $4,000, and we lost on ELP, so about $5,000 in the hole on those two. Now we did trade Disney. We only managed to get Disney moved up well pre-market, but we only managed to get 150 or 160 bucks out of Disney. We traded a company called OncoSec Medical. Okay, so OncoSec Medical, again, bioscience company, moved up, and we traded that in Power Hour. So again, that was live on the latest stream, the Power Hour stream, the last hour of the market. That moved up over $1 in Power, $1.50 in Power Hour, and we managed to get $250 on it. But what we did trade well, and is what got us to where we were. We actually did trade Grinder again later, and we managed to make most of the $4,000 back. We finished $260 down on Grinder. I'll show you where that took place. We traded Newton, so ticker NWTN. We made $2,500 on Newton. We traded Sotera Health, which is the ticker SHC. So Sotera Health, we made almost $6,000. Really nice trade. Very volatile. Volatility halts as well. And what I'll do is the two big trades there that went for me, I will tag them on the back of this. You can watch the replay. I'll just talk you through what we traded, why we traded it, and where we traded it, etc. And then you can take a look at the trade replay, shall we? Okay, so. First and foremost, as I say, we took a position with Grinder pre-market. It moved up. It was down here below the VWAP. Then it started to move up. So we took 500 shares. It broke the VWAP, started to move up. It pulled back to the VWAP and bounced. Now I like to trade the VWAP bounce. I find the VWAP bounce is quite a powerful, just from an intraday perspective, it's quite a powerful strategy to use. So it pulled back and hit the VWAP again, and then started to move back up again. And that's when we took a position, just 500 shares. And I figured, okay, it's not got a huge volume, but the volatility is still there. It's down from the highs. It went up to over $70 yesterday. It was down at like under $40. So we took a position, 500 shares. I figured, okay, the pre-market low is $31. I think we were in at 41 or whatever it was. So I thought, okay, 500 shares, that's $5,000. I'll risk $10 a share. On the basis that I've been looking to make $10, just a 1-to-1 ratio on this swing trade. Will I get $51? Then I certainly believe that that was possible. If it gained any kind of the bullish mentality or the bullish momentum it had on Friday, I felt okay, it would move up. So if it moves up, I'm in a good place. If it moves down, then I'm prepared to risk. It gave me nearly $50,000 on Friday, so I'm prepared to risk $5,000 today. Unfortunately, we got stopped out for about 4,600, I think, in the end. So not it went the opposite way that I wanted it to, and that can happen. But you've got to be you've got to set your risks accordingly. And if you're happy with the risks and you're prepared to take that risk for the reward that commensurately, then it's worth taking the trade. And that was grinded. Then we traded Disney. So Disney was moving up. New CEO. I'll say new CEO. The old CEO's back, so get rid of the last CEO. So kind of Disney's strange. It's a job. Seems like it's jobs for the boys, and they're going around in musical chairs or whatever. But Disney moved up pre-market. It moved up and it was just very sideways. So I tried to try this on this move up here. It did move up when it started to pull back. I kind of got in at the top of this move, but it started to pull back. I then got out. So that was Disney. I'm showing you on the 5 minute. So as I say, as this moved up, I got in and then started to pull back. We made $160 on Disney. If we got in kind of at 8 a.m. for the move up, we probably could have made a lot more. Maybe even move up, bounce on the VWAP bounce as I was talking about earlier, and move up. We could have made a lot more. The break of the $100 even key level, we could have made a lot more, but we didn't. We got in Disney at 101.50, and then we got out again. So it made this double top, and I was hoping it was going to go on for new highs. It didn't. When it started to look exhausted and come back, and then it sold off for the rest of the day. So that was Disney. The next one we traded was ELP, Compagnie Paranaense. I'm not going to pronounce it. It just doesn't work for me to try and pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. So yeah. What I will say is ELP. We traded this after the market. We traded this at it was this area here as it started to make a move up, and then it pulled back to the VWAP, and we lost $1,000. So this was another pre-market trade. Just before the just at the top of the hour, just before the open, and it kind of got in at 8:40, got out at 8:20, at 8:19. We gave 20 cents on the share, and we were in for 5,000 shares. Didn't go for us, but hey, that's the way it goes. We set the plan, we stuck to it, and it executed and moved up. Then's when we traded a nice profitable trade in Sotera Health. Sotera Health moved up, gap and go. So we got these. I'll just zoom out. We had the pre-market highs here, 820, 825. It's actually the pre-market high was 824, but I was looking for the break of 825. 825. We got in. It moved up into a halt. It gapped up, moved all the way up, and then when it started to pull back, we exited the position. We scaled in. We started off with 5,000 shares. We moved up to 10,000 on resumption of the halt. We moved up to 15,000. We scaled out. Took profits along the way. At first, when it started to get a bit choppy around 850, we took half of the position off. And then when it moved back up, we added it back and then moved up. So you watch that trade, very textbook gap and go. It moved up nicely pre-market. And then as it broke the pre-market highs after the bell, that's when we got in. Textbook gap and go on the move up. Once it started to pull back, it kind of never reached the highs again, stayed below the VWAP and sold off for most of the rest of the day. It's currently 789. So it's held a lot of its gains, but it didn't come back to the levels up at $9.50 or whatever, over $9. So that was Sotera Health, good trade, and that would already been stopped out on Grinder at that stage, so that took us green on the day. It was a $6,000 trade, but it took us green on the day, just marginally green, because we put the Grinder trade and the ELP trade together. We were just over $5,000 in the hole at that stage. So the Sotera trade took us green, and we still needed something to trade. So then we traded Newton. So Newton was moving up, and again, very volatile. It moved up. We had the pre-market highs here, so another gap and go. We didn't trade it as a gap and go, simply because we were trading. We were already trading Sotera. We've got the gap and go. It moved up, broke the pre-market highs, moved up into a halt, gapped up, moved up, then down again. Then it started to move back up, and as it broke highs here, that's when we entered. We rode that up, and then we got out as it started to sell off. So we made 2,500 on Newton, and we got out as that pulled back. Now that's where we left it. We closed down. It was streaming all of that live. Closed that down, and we took the dog for a walk and did our things, bits and pieces, did some errands, and that was my trading up until coming back. I came back in the afternoon, and I did trade Grinder again. It just sold off. The thing is with Grinder, it was on the short sale restrictions list, so it would have been, because of the spreads, because of the low liquidity, it would have been very risky to short it, very difficult to short it as well, because when it was moving, the spreads just wouldn't let you get in there, and it was just, no. It's basically what it was. So and it's not easy to borrow either, because it's a new IPO, so not easy to borrow. So you've got short sale restrictions, you've got locate fees, you've got all of that kind of stuff, and it did make a little bit of a bounce. So I traded Grinder again at just after it was here. Funny enough, I traded Grinder again, and it started to move up. When it pulled back and then broke new highs again, that's when I got in and was able to ride this up and make most of that $4,000 back. So I got about $1.50 move on that, and whilst the spreads were very rangy, my move, it actually moved up something like about $7 or $5, whatever it was, $5-6. But I got about $1.50 on that whole move from my buy-in to getting out, and I'll tell you exactly what I got. I was in at 25.30, and I would got it. Yeah, so just over $1 in on average. So 26.50. So $1.20 is what I got. 5,000 shares. So I took half off at the top end of that, and then as it pulled back, I took the other half off. So I made about just shy of $4,000 on that. So a nice trade. I thought it might bounce and we might get a kind of a double bottom as it pulled down here, back down to 23, 22. So I was looking for it to move up. I did call this out. Funnily enough, as this moved down, I called this out in the day trade with Tony Discord. I was like, look, Grinder's bouncing at 22.50s. Looks like it's bottomed out. It's looking for a bounce. So just be careful of a reversal. Look for the reversal indicators as well. But I was able to ride that up, and I can show you that, but it's probably not worthwhile. And then it just sold off into the close. Now, it was asked, it's day two of Grinder. So if I just put that on the daily, for example, this is the daily chart for Grinder. It moved up to $72. It started off Friday. It started off at opened at 16.90. It did move down to 16, but then it moved all the way up to over $72, $72.51, I think it was, no, $71.51, and then pulled back. It closed on Friday at $36.50. Now, over the weekend, it did move up again, and it reached that $40, whatever it was, and then pulled back, and it's currently at 1982. Now, what I was asked on my live stream this evening whether Grinder will move back up again, and the answer to that is I don't know. I don't think anybody does know. Now, what tends to happen with an IPO like this, it's not a traditional IPO as such, it's a SPAC merger, so special acquisitions company and Grindr have merged so that they can trade on the stock exchange under the symbol Grindr. So it's not a typical IPO, but that being said, it's an IPO, and what IPOs tend to have initially is they're looking for fair market value. Now, if they launch at fair market value, you tend to find that maybe they don't have a lot of volatility. Now, what tends to happen is a lot of stocks don't launch at fair market value. They either launch at what's perceived below fair market value, and then they'll rally on the open and they'll move up. And then they might sell off because they'll reach above fair market value, and then they'll come back down and they'll go below fair, and then until they actually find that optimum level, and then they start to plateau and flatline until there's a catalyst that makes them move one way or another again. Sometimes they launch above fair market value, and the opposite is true. They'll sell off and they'll go below fair market value, and you get that volatility again. And it also depends on the interest. Now, Grindr is an obviously interesting company, certainly within the LGBTQ plus community. I don't know what the plus stands for. Nobody's ever explained it to me. I don't know if it's gay premium or whatever that is, but Grindr is an interesting company. It's in the media spotlight, and it does have a lot of interest. Not a lot of volume in terms of the movements on the stock exchange on Friday to justify the move to over $70, but it is very volatile. So I was able to make good money on it. Today, I lost a very small amount. I was prepared to risk $5,000, and as it happened, I didn't have to risk $5,000. I managed to claw that back as it moved back up. So with $260 down on Grindr, I'm happy enough with that. After trading Grindr, I also traded ONCS. So ONCS, I traded Newton again, actually. So this is Newton on the daily. Let's zoom back in. This was Power Hour on the run up. I traded Newton again, and I didn't get a huge amount with Newton. So again, this was here as this moved up. The volume came in, but it didn't sustain. So as it pulled back, I got out of the position with Newton. I only took 2,500 shares. I didn't take a huge position. It was difficult to get filled on the sale because the volume dried up, the liquidity dried up. So I took 2,000. I bought in easily enough, but when I was trying to get out, it was very difficult to get out, and I managed to get out before it flushed all the way back down. But I probably could have got a bit more out of that. I think I got $200 out of that. Again, that was live on the Power Hour show, and then I traded ONCS. So ONCS was Oncosec Medical. And this one moved up. We managed to trade this on the way up there, and again we didn't get a huge amount. We got in, and it did pull back, but it got bought back up quickly. So we had this hanging man here, hanging man candle, and it looked very bullish. And then as it moved up, we got this pullback here. So then that's a very bearish indicator. Very signal there is of reversal. So we got out, and of course it did reverse. We only made 250 bucks on that. We probably could have made a bit more if we'd been a bit more aggressive. 2,500 shares we took. So we weren't overly aggressive. We were already over goal. We were already significantly over goal. But this took us, we were about 7,000. So between the second trade on Newton and this trade with ONCS, we were able to make it up to 7,500, which takes us 1.5 times my daily goal. So let's talk about the daily goal, shall we? So let's go to the statistics, shall we? Okay, so let's just look at November here, and we'll come back to the annual. I don't have to look at the performance on the annual, but let's look at November. $50,000 last Friday really made a difference. So we did 12,000 on Thursday. So we've got a couple of really good days of good trades. In fact, this last week hasn't been too bad, but for Wednesday. Now, Wednesday we did go almost $20,000 in the red. We did pull that. We managed to pull that back, but you know, 5,000 green, 7,000 green, 9,000 red, 12,000 green, 13,000 green, 50,000, 7,500. So we're back at it. We're back at it. What does that look like in terms of the reports, though? So for November, that takes us to $98,000. So if you're regular to my stream, regular to my channel, you'll know that I'm targeting myself on $100,000 a month. That's averaging $5,000 a day. Now, you'll also, if you're a regular, recall that after last Wednesday's red day, we dipped below $5,000 on the annual number. So November hadn't been kind to us. And we were about $2,000 on the monthly number. So we were basically getting a little bit frustrated in terms of the one step forward, two steps back that we were facing with the market in November. Now, you can see here, this is November numbers. So $6,500 is the average. This is all down to, well, I say all down, it's mostly down to the grinder trade on Friday. But if you can get it, they don't come along every single day or every single month, but if you can get one, we had a couple of good trades in June and July and August, not so much in September and October, but we've had a really good trade this month, and I think the grinder's probably the third best trade I've had this year, probably top 5 overall, but third best this year. So yeah, the overall, we're less than $2,000 away from the monthly goal this month, and we're over the $5,000 average. Let's look at the win-loss ratios here. You can see the equity curve here, but 68 versus 32, so it's better than 2 to 1 in terms of trade accuracy, in terms of trade selection. And the statistics here as a result of the trade on Friday, 213 versus 115. It's almost 2 to 1, not quite. If I look at my risk reward, my K ratio at 1.24, still not what I would consider good. A K ratio of 2 is considered good or better. Now, if we take this for the year, because we're coming up towards the end of the year, and this is really what matters, is the annual number. That's the target that I'm trying to hit. So occasionally I might have a bad month and occasionally have a bad week or whatever. But the year overall is what's important. So where are we on the year? So we've got 1.12, 20,000 up on where we should be by the end of this month. We've still got a number of days left, over a week left in November. And we're already over the November goal. So November goal would have been a 1.1 million based on a 100,000 per month. In terms of the average daily gain, 52 back up to 5,200. We did dip below 5,000 last week, as I say. We're back up to 5,200. So we're over that average 500. If I look at my K ratio, risk reward on the year, it's way above 2. So I've been trading well across the year, but this last couple of, I'll say the last 8 weeks has been quite difficult for me, and I've probably been overly aggressive where perhaps I shouldn't be. So the K ratio's come down. Profit factor pretty much the same. And the risk reward, it's pretty much 2 to 1 in terms of trade accuracy. It's pretty much 2 to 1 in terms of the overall gains versus losses. And you see my equity curve when I've had drawdowns, big drawdowns, $60,000 drawdown at one stage earlier this year. But you can see that the equity curve's quite choppy. It's not exactly a straight line graph to the upside, but it is upwards trending, and that's the main thing for me. That's the big thing for me. So we're in a very good position to be able to have that 7-figure net year. So that is essentially where we are on the year. So I'm going to tag on the trades from today, a couple of trades from today. In the meantime, I'll be back at it tomorrow, 90 minutes before the market opens. So that's 8 a.m. market time, or East Coast, New York. It's 1 p.m. here in Ireland. It's 1 p.m. in the UK too. So if you're on the continent of Europe, just added an hour onto the time. If you're anywhere else in the world, just look it up on your own time zone. If you've enjoyed this video, if you enjoy all my videos, subscribe to the channel. You'll get notified when I drop a new one, when I'm going live, if you hit that notification bell as well. But please remember to give me a thumbs up on this video. In the meantime, enjoy the trade replay. Catch you later. Breaking pre-market highs. Just taking a position. Nice goal. Whilst I'm in this position. Locked in 200 bucks. Maintain the share size. Looking for a move up. Nice. Oh, halted. Halt level. I've got my stop in it. That's good. I've got a stop in place for the halt. I've got 5,000 shares with Soterra Health gap and go. It broke the pre-market highs. That's what you're looking for with a gap and go. It's broke the pre-market highs, which is this level. We got in as it broke the pre-market highs. We rode that up. We took $200 off as it started to waver around the $0.50, and it's up at 861 now. And we've got a trailing stop in place, a 10-cent trailing stop. So when that resumes in 5 minutes at 37, we should be able to make some money there. This is looking at resuming at 875 resumption. I've got at the moment. I might change this for a 20-cent stop on resumption. We'll see. 5,000 shares in at the moment. So let's see. If it moves up, it moves up. That's fine. When does that resume? 37. What are we on now? 36. So that will 37.53. So we've got about 90 seconds before resumption there. Now we resumed and we got stopped out. So we made $2 on there. Broke new highs, looking for $9.
England pointing out to the referee that they want to make their changes now. Maguire has gone, and he's going to get the game restarted first. And England are just going to boot it forward, and if it goes out, it goes out, and it will go out.
So looking for the break of $9 here. Just scaled in. There we go. Take some off before the halt. Add it back. 928 is the halt level.
It's got the horns blaring and sections of the crowd pumping now.
942 is the halt level now. I got stopped out on grinder, that's okay. Scaling into Soterra Health.
Trying to make the most of the extra man here. And they have got a chance. And it's pulled back. And the shot is wide from Nur Al-Ahi. Jordan Pickford is absolutely furious that that was allowed to build. Furious that England haven't been able to make their changes. And now they will.
The halt level is now 953. Just going to lock in a little bit there. Still got 10,000 shares here.
Dyer on for Maguire, we knew about already. And Bukayo Saka's number is up. 2 for the tournament in game 1.
I just would have thought that because of the reasoning of why Harry Maguire
We're
went off the
finding a little
bench,
bit of resistance up at the $half, so I'm just...
You would think so.
We can break.
And the guys were talking at half time about temporary substitutions when it comes to concussion as well. And
that's exactly it right there.
yeah, something that has to be brought into the game.
We broke the $half.
We attend so many games.
51 on the ask, 50 on the bid.
Go to it happens.
Halt level is now 962.
Punished as a team because one of your players has suffered a concussion, if that's what it was.
Taking a third off. Maintaining the size. Moving my level up. It's going to take half off. Get out.
Sterling's off.
Okay, $6 on Sotera Health before that pullback. That was a good trade.
Let's see what, like getting a call from the family, and you have to respond. There's another lovely quote pre-match about when you don't have.
Break $8. Oh,
Has, not quite helped
Actually.
today. I'm afraid they've been kittens.
Newton halted again. Okay.
Foden to Grealish. Rate has not dipped one bit.
It hasn't. It's been the key component. It's been the fundamental.
Let's take 5 off there, which was locked in 2,000.
But exemplary.
I'll get take the rest off.
Bellingham in midfield, winning the ball back. But a lot of
So locked in $2 grand.
pressing front foot. Let's get the ball back.
That's a nice $2 grand from Newton. I'll make my cup of tea now.